As we journey through life, we all encounter ebbs and flows, many highs and lows. We often come across stumbling blocks that leave us feeling quite disheartened or unsure about how to move back to the realm of possibility and positivity. No matter what we undergo, we all can embrace the journey, tap into the tools to push through and overcome, and find the beauty in the ashes. This is Odyssey with Yendi, Beauty in the Ashes.
Camilla, by the way, first of all, it's so nice to see you.
So good to see you too, Yendi.
It's
been a minute.
A minute. I feel like I keep staring right into you because I want your soul to just know how happy my soul is to see you.
Likewise.
It's lovely.
Likewise. We've been talking about this moment for a while now.
For a long time.
Yeah.
What a lot of people actually would not know is before I even shot a single episode, I was on the phone with you because you are one of the first people that came up in my spirit of, who I want to speak with because I think you're such a great example of choosing self. I think you're one of the greatest examples of that I know, actually.
Yendi, stop.
No, I won't stop. So let's talk about that a bit. Let's talk about Kamila, who was in school. By the way, you are easily one of the most intellectually brilliant and rounded people I know as well. Also, although you're a creative, you're also very left brain, although right brain. But it's Kamila in school, and in the pressuring of the books and in getting the job done, you kind of neglected self a bit. Let's talk about that experience.
Yeah, I think what comes to mind most is when I left, and I kind of always was like that. I'm somebody who I dive fully and wholeheartedly in anything that I do and commit to. And when I was 18, I left home for the first time and I moved away to Norway for pre-university. And I think it was the extreme of differences, so differences of weather, obviously.
Yeah.
Being away from the family for the first time. I'm the first of all the kids. And so it was just leaving my little nest and going out into the wild world.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Dealing with a new pressure of school. I was doing the IB at that time, which was very different from what I was accustomed to in terms of the approach of education.
Right.
And I think just all of those things, I didn't handle it as well as I should have.
Right.
I turned to food. I turned to food as my recluse and as a way of getting by.
Comforting.
In those minus 20 degrees of weather, the pressures of school. And sometimes you don't even realize when you're doing it.
Yeah.
I'm hungry. I'm so hungry when I'm stressed, when I'm bored, and these are traits that I didn't grow up with. I didn't know.
Right.
I, luckily grew up in a very health conscious family. And, so I think after a while, I didn't really recognize myself. And I hit a humongous rock bottom while I was over there, kind of all alone. Found myself first 35 pounds overweight just months after leaving home.
Wow.
I came back and nobody could recognize me.
Yeah.
And then that 35 went on to 45, went on to soon was 65 pounds overweight. So I was almost 200 pounds at my heaviest.
Wow.
And, it's a rock bottom that I give thanks for in retrospect.
Ooh.
In retrospect.
Yeah.
Sometimes in our lowest moments, we find our truest selves because there ain't nowhere to go other than that low, it's only up. It's only up from there.
Yeah.
And so the resilience and the grit and the ability to relearn myself again, it was presented to me, in those low moments. And in fact, I find that I draw on that grit and that strength very regularly throughout my life. And I think the times that I have hit rock bottom, every single time that I've hit rock bottom, it was a newfound grit and a newfound strength, a newfound wow. I pulled myself through that. You know, God pulled me through that. And so, yeah, you know, I give thanks. Sometimes we have to give thanks for our struggle, you know, because it's in our struggle that we find our biggest strength.
That part. But you know what it is though, Cami? I find it's really hard for a lot of people. Everything. Sometimes the world feels like it's pouring on you, and the weight is, you know, I often say that not because the load is carried well means that the burden isn't heavy, right? And so the weight of it is there, but it takes a certain type of grace and a certain type of knowing to find the beauty in that strength. Where does that knowing come from for you?
Well, first of all, I think faith.
Yeah.
You know, luckily, I grew up in a very faith-grounded family. And so even in those dark moments where you feel like there's no solution, there's no option, there's no way out, it's like that's when God speaks to you the most, you know? And
Yes.
so I would say faith. I would also say, because as humans, we're going to hit rock bottom, you know, multiple times over.
Yeah.
You know, every single one of us. It don't matter who you are, how much you make, where you are in life. We're going to hit those little roller coaster moments.
Absolutely.
And so I think when we lean into that faith, and it's almost like a security, it's a reminder, it's a, you know, remembering of self and remembering one own true power within, that we can continue to sharpen our faith. And you see, when our faith sharp,
Me say.
nothing can stop we, you know.
Right.
All right.
Yashins.
Yeah. So I think it's the difficult moments where you're reminded of who you are, you know, your resilience and your strength. And so every time you go through that little moment, you're like, I got through that.
That's right.
Oh, I got through that too.
That's right.
And so even in the moments where you forget, because all of us forget to, you
That's
know.
right.
All of us forget our own strength.
That's right.
But it's that constant reminder every time that we go through a struggle that, you know, there's a brighter future ahead. And I think also gratitude, you know, when we're grateful for where we've come, where we're going, and what we already have, it's like we don't need anything else in life, you know. And I think, you know, it's a lot of the time it's life stressors that kind of take us away from the faith, takes us away from the reminder of who we are and what innate power we have within us. And so gratitude keeps us present, you know, when we are present in the moment and we are grateful for what we have, we don't need anything else, you know. And so again, it's just these reminders of staying in the present, knowing that there's a higher power above us that, you know, always has our back, and a reminder of the strength of previous struggles and challenges that we've been able to maneuver through.
Yeah. How did you maneuver through being almost 200 pounds and getting to this place where you're actually the face of wellness for most of us? I mean, your whole brand is wellness. Was that a part of you choosing to be well, that you've come on this path of wellness?
It was a part of
as
that.
a business, rather.
No, that's a word.
Oh, look at that. I don't think that's ever happened to me in this space.
That's a word, Jens. Yeah, I chose.
Yeah.
I chose myself. I chose a better future for myself. I knew that I was not a recluse. I knew that I was not somebody who would hide away from the world. I knew that I loved to interact and engage and not hide myself from myself or others. And so, yeah, I think, yeah, it's those moments where there's nowhere out aside from just digging in and digging through. And, you know, it was a time in my life where, you know, I didn't feel in alignment with who I know I am inside. And so, yeah, I bought every single book that I could get my hands on, and I dug in and I read. And I remember it happened in Norway before I even left. And I would just put one foot in front of the other. I used to make up all the kind of excuses, you know, it's too cold.
Yeah.
I can't go outside. Oh my God, it's snowing, it's raining, it's everything. I, kind of came to terms with myself, my new body, the new skin that I was in. Because at that time, I didn't even buy new clothing for myself, even though I couldn't fit into anything. So I ended up, buying a few pieces that were, just kind of representative of where I was at that time, and put on my little clothes, or enough clothes, I should say.
Yeah, the
Put
layers.
one foot in front of each other. And I didn't know what I was doing at that time, but I just knew that I had to do,
Right.
if that makes sense.
Yes.
And, one day, one fall, one victory after each other, just never giving up. And, when I started out, I really started out incorrectly. That's the truth. My journey, my wellness journey took way longer than it should have because I didn't really know what I was doing.
Right.
But as I continued to be more informed, more empowered with, the fact that the right decisions are right in front of me, I have the power. I can choose to eat something and not eat something.
Right.
I can choose to move my body in the way that it needs to. And so, from a physical perspective,
Right.
that really, because there's a whole other wellness part of my journey that
Talk
came
truth.
completely after.
Talk truth.
That was more the mind,
Yeah.
was more the emotions
Yeah.
that I didn't quite deal with yet. And when I realized it, it was funny. It was on the Mr. Maker World stage.
I remember that. I was hosting
You
your
were hosting
competition. Yeah.
Yendi. I wonder if you remember when I froze in the middle of the stage.
I remember. Your question was that you speak many languages and to say something in it. Was it Swahili?
It was Swahili.
I remember.
And I completely blanked.
Yeah.
I mean, this is Swahili that I had been studying at this time for 3 years in college.
Yeah.
Studied Norwegian, studied Spanish and French. And in that moment, fear came over me.
Yeah.
Because I was now the fittest that I had ever been. This is after announcing to the world that I was taking on this Miss Jamaica World journey, and I was training. That time Instagram did not exist. It was
right.
Facebook.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was sharing with the world, what my mission was. And I remember it was at that moment that I realized that health is so much more than the physical state of being, so much more. There was so much more healing that I had to do that I
Yes.
didn't realize.
Yes.
And that was where I did start my journey for full healing. That was when I became a certified personal trainer, a sports nutritionist. I started to study the effect of food on our bodies, on our mood, on our energy levels, on our states.
Yes.
Food can really contribute to whether or not we're anxious, whether or not we're depressed, whether or not we're enjoying and being joyful in
That's
life.
right.
And then really started to dive into the emotions, because there's a lot of layers, I felt like I was trapped in my body. And when you're at that place, boyens, I can't even explain to you. And I know anybody out there struggling with their weight, it's something that is very hard to overcome because you become somebody that you're not. It's a very difficult thing for anybody to understand aside from yourself. And so there was a lot of baggage and a lot of emotional layers that had built on that I did not address. And it was that night that I realized, wow, this is so much deeper than my goal weight.
Right.
So much deeper than my goal weight. And so it's funny that you asked that question because that was really when my health journey began, even though I thought that's where it finished.
Oh, that's right. That was the beginning.
That was the beginning.
Because we're looking at it from a holistic perspective, so
Absolutely.
in totality.
In totality.
Yeah.
In the approach that I take with wellness today.
Yes.
In the mind, body, spirit connection. In the 7 pillars of wellness that I preach. Really, that was the moment, and that was 2009, and I'll never forget that day.
Yeah.
And I've never looked back. And it really is also, that was when I realized that I wanted to be a part of everyone else's journey because I felt so alone in my struggle. And I think that was the hardest part because there's a lot of shame that comes.
Absolutely.
And a lot of self-deprecation, which can really, take you away from the bigger goal. And if we don't fix this, nothing else will come,
That's right.
You can go all the gym you want go. You can drink all the green juice and eat all the salads. If you're not fixing this, it will never, there will always be something else, some other layer that you haven't addressed. And I think that was the moment for me. Not that I was ready for it yet, because it did show up later on in my life.
Yes.
It did show up later on in my life that I did not address it. And that's the thing with life. It continues to throw the lessons at you. It continues to put you in that rock bottom. It continues to throw all kind of challenges your way until you heal from what you're meant to heal from. And then you move on. And that's the beautiful journey of life.
Yeah.
You know, as long as we are alive and we have breath, there's always something else that we have to figure. Some other part of us that's not quite healed that we have to address, and the universe continues to throw them at us. And until we address them, because what we do is we cover it up.
That's right.
We cover it up with food,
That's right.
alcohol, drugs, whatever your thing
Fancy
is.
clothes,
Fancy
makeup,
clothes,
looking good on the outside, but depressed inside.
You understand?
Absolutely.
So that was the day that my real wellness journey, my
Began.
fitness journey, was at an incredible place. I was the
Yeah.
fittest that I had ever been in my life, even before leaving to Norway.
Yeah.
And I realized, and I woke up to the fact that this health thing is so much deeper than what we see here.
Yeah.
You know?
It's interesting that you mentioned the fact that it not being fully addressed and a full healing resurfaced later on in your life. I feel like in my spirit I know exactly what you're alluding to. But let's talk a bit about that, if we may. Let's talk about the fact that, you know, perhaps even that played its role in your choices in terms of who you partner with in life, how you view yourself, what you accept or tolerate for yourself in accepting a certain partnership, and then maybe why you no longer accepted that for yourself as a part of your
Absolutely.
healing.
Absolutely. You know, and that's the beauty of motherhood, Yendi. It brings a whole new perspective. It's no longer about you and your issues and your what you want in that moment. It now becomes about another human being and their happiness, their ability to thrive, them being in the environment that, you know, because we're put on earth, one of our biggest purposes as mothers is to guide this life into and allow them to blossom into the person that they were destined to be.
That's right.
And you're right, you know, my choices didn't reflect or resonate or even align with my mission for,
That's right.
for my child. And that was my big aha moment. And it's funny, you know, it was in the midst of my health and fitness career. I mean, at that time, it was really the pinnacle. Everything was happening. I was, you know, doing all the things that I had dreamed of after coming through what I had come through. And I don't know if you remember this, but at some point in my life, my face broke out in cystic acne.
I remember.
I was doing interviews. I was on magazine covers. I was leading fitness classes at Emancipation Park with hundreds of people who were looking to me to guide them through their journey with a face full of acne. And this is your face. That's your mirror of health, right?
Yeah.
And what that represented for me was that there was some deep, dark things happening at that time that I had to cover up. I had to cover up. I thought I had to cover up, right?
For protecting image, brand, public name. Yeah.
Absolutely. And there was one instance that I remember because, you know, I knew deep down, Yendi, I knew that it wasn't okay. What was happening was not okay.
The
for me.
relationship and the space.
The relationship, the space,
Yeah.
the abuse, everything. And I couldn't find the strength. At that time, I didn't think I could find the strength. And I remember there was one time, without getting into much detail, there was one big wake-up call for me. It was an incident at her school. And it was as a repercussion of something that she saw that, to this day is still really hard for me to accept because, there's trauma that we still to this day are dealing with, both of us. And I remember I got called in from the principal that day. And that was the day that I said, it's enough. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know how I'm going to do it on my own, but I can't put her through this anymore. It's not even about me.
She repeated what she saw happen at home.
She repeated what she saw. And then she continued to repeat what she saw. She continued. And still to this day, Yendi, we're still working through some of those wounds. Still to this day.
Is it that for you didn't want to normalize for her that
Absolutely.
It's okay for people to put their hands on her?
Absolutely, Yendi. You are a mommy of a beautiful little girl. She looks up to you every single day to determine who is a woman, what's a woman, how does she act, what does she tolerate, what is okay, what is not okay. If I stayed in that situation and accepted that life for whatever reason, then that would now define for her what is normal. That would define for her how a man should treat her. Oh, okay, so this is the life that mommy has chosen. This means I can choose
accept
that life
too.
and accept.
Yeah.
And as a child of two incredibly beautiful humans who are happily married 38 years later.
Your parents are so bomb, by the way. I remember them from being kids at dancing, and I just love them. They're so bomb.
So, I thought to myself, how could I do that? How could I now create a cycle that I didn't see for myself? That wouldn't be fair to the child that I've birthed into this world, who is full of so much greatness and has such a big light to shine into the world. And I knew, it's funny. Our body gives us little whispers at first, even from a health perspective.
Yes.
And then it gives us little shouts.
That's right. And then not
then
so
it
little
starts
shouts.
to scream
Yeah.
like, sis, you are not okay. Run for your life. Go and make a new life for yourself, And so, again, another rock bottom, another difficult couple of years.
And having to do it under the
scrutiny
of the public.
Oh, Yendi,
I
can't even. I can't.
Oh, okay.
I don't even have
okay.
to. I don't even have to.
Because we've had
We've
many
bonded
a phone
on
call.
that. We've bonded on those because it's tough, eh?
It's really hard.
Tough, and people
they forget that you're human with a real life private experience.
Yeah. And human means what? It means that you're not perfect. It means that you make mistakes.
Yeah.
It means that you don't always know what the right thing is.
Yeah.
But again, as long as you stay attuned. And for me, it really is stillness, Yendi.
Kami. No, talk truth.
It's stillness.
It's stillness.
Because what I was doing was filling up my life with busyness. It was, I'm so busy, I'm so stressed, I have this one thing, this booking, this shoot, this project, this thing, one after the other, because I'm so afraid of getting quiet, because it's in those quiet moments that the truth really comes.
You have to face yourself.
You have to face yourself, and it's not always nice to face yourself when it's ugly. We don't always want to look in the mirror with a face full of acne, i.e. not just meaning what it represented. Because to me, that's what it represented. Another rock bottom moment in my life where my body was yelling at me from the mountaintops, saying, Cam, get out, get out, get out. There's a better life for you.
I'm unhappy inside.
I'm unhappy.
Yeah.
I'm hurting. I'm traumatized. So, again, first of all, where would I be without Kaylani? I don't know. I look back and I make peace with my past because I feel like it had to happen exactly how it happened, even though sometimes I look back and I'll be like, how did that happen?
Listen now.
How?
I hear that.
But again, you look back and you realize that everything is ordained.
Yes.
Every single thing happens in the way that it needs to happen.
Yes.
It happens all at the right time, the aha moments, the breakthroughs, the lessons, because those are the things that you carry on. And you know, I wouldn't ask for it any other way, Yendi. I look at Kaylani and I know that she looks up to me as her mommy and says, boy, that's my mommy. You know, she's strong, she's resilient, you know, she don't take no ish, right? She
Same way,
stands
so
up for herself.
that part.
So we all have to make peace with our past. You know, every single relationship in life, you know, whether it's a positive one or a negative one, it's a lesson. You know, whether it's a friendship, it's a relationship with your parents, it's a relationship with your partner, it's all a lesson. And oftentimes it is here to teach you something that has to be healed. And that period of my life was a lesson. Many lessons of many things that I had to heal, many wounds that to this day I'm so very grateful for. And you know, I'm at a full place of forgiveness, of healing, of, you know, also knowing that, boy, everybody is human. We all have to know that everybody is doing the best, you know. And it took me a while to really release a lot of the resentment that I had from that marriage and from what I went through, and you know, just that entire journey. But I do look back and just kind of accept that literally everybody was doing their best and continues to do their best. And it's whether or not you are willing to swallow a certain amount of awareness that it takes to look yourself in the mirror. You know, it takes awareness and it takes acceptance.
Yes.
You know, and acceptance is not always hard, because that accepting thing, sometimes you have to accept some really ugly things about yourself. You know, and it was Kaylani for me, and being Kaylani's mother, that gave me the strength to really fully dig deep and accept that, boy, what's happening right now can't continue. And I have a massive amount of healing to do. And this is not just for me, but also for her. And, you know, we continue that journey of awareness, of acceptance, of imperfection, really. You know, and a lot of times it's not easy as humans for us to accept that we're imperfect. In fact, I'll tell you, my name, Kamila, is Swahili for like unto perfection. And I feel like it's been a blessing and a curse in my life, because I'm a recovering perfectionist.
Right.
And, you know, I used to think it was a cool thing, you know. I'm a perfectionist. It's something, it's a badge you wear on a shoulder. I'm a hard worker. It's go hard or go home. Team no sleep. Go, go, go. Never have time for anything, because you're just all about excellence, achievement, awards, accolades. Go, 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 go. And again, back to that stillness and that recognition that, you know, life is so much more about, you know, really uncovering the imperfections and always working towards not perfection, but balance.
Ooh,
you know,
that part.
Not
It's
perfection,
the balance.
It's the balance.
It's the balance.
And it's hard. I think as humans, it's an everyday struggle. And I think until the day that we die, we will continue to search for that balance. And it's the lessons that we're learning on the way to that place that we never really attain.
Right.
We know it's not it's not something that we attain. It's something that we continuously strive for.
Journey.
We continuously learn the tools that allow for that stillness, allow for that search for more balance in our life in various different ways. So it's been a beautiful journey, and you know, I mean, there are so many blessings. There's so much to be grateful for. Nothing is perfect. Not one thing is perfect.
Literally.
Every single day, there are the major and the minor struggles that we maneuver through. But you know, we give thanks. We give thanks for the journey, and we give thanks for the lessons and the blessings in those lessons. You know,
what do you say to persons who are currently sitting in very toxic relationships and spaces, who perhaps literally are losing themselves every day and not choosing themselves? They sit down in spaces, they daily actively self-sabotage, self-betray even. What does that person do to start to learn to choose themselves?
I would say one of the biggest habits that I have cultivated, the most awareness and self awareness of those self deprecating traits that we can be kind of, bogged down by, is journaling.
Hmm.
And it goes back to that stillness, Jens. First of all, deep down, we know who we are.
Yeah.
We know what we want to accept. We know what we believe in. We know what is not going so right. We know it's that intuition that a lot of us are too afraid to tap into. We want to ask advice from everybody else, right? We want to look outside. And again, in those little vices, in those little addictions that kind of cover up, you know, even overeating is a big part of that. It's like you almost stuff away your feelings
Yeah.
with the food, with the whatever it is, the clothes, as you said, the whatever it is that's masking what we really need to get to the root of. So for me, journaling is what did it. Really asking myself, first of all, how are you?
Do you know that that is one of the hardest questions to answer? Because people don't actually answer it. You do, I feel like people do a knee jerk response. So when people say, "Hi, how are you?" They go, "Yeah, man, I'm good, I'm good.
Yeah, man, everything good.
I'm good." But
Give
it's like
thanks.
we're in moving. It's just a
Absolutely.
reflex to say, "I'm good."
Yep.
But no, really, how
How are
are
you?
you?
And
Yeah.
when last have you asked yourself, Yendi? No. When last have you written it down? Because there's
Yeah.
so much power in writing.
Hmm.
Yendi, how are you today? How are you? Those simple words.
Yeah.
And I used to write to myself every single day, asking myself, how am I? I got to know myself again because I think I forgot who I was. And so often we forget who
Yeah.
we are.
And I can understand that. I can understand that.
I forgot who I was and I dug deep by sitting with myself, with my own thoughts. How are we going to improve ourselves if we don't even know ourselves? How?
A word, Camille. A word. Yes.
So it was the sitting with myself every day. It was the journaling. It was the gratitude. I cultivated a habit many years ago that I wrote about in my book, Wake Up and Live. And it is, write three things that you're grateful for that you already have. And then write three things that you're grateful for that you don't yet have,
But are to come.
but are to come.
Yeah.
You're sitting in the faith that they are to come. And all of a sudden, your energetic field starts to emit something completely different than what you're accepting. Because remember, everything is energy, What we
Everything.
put out, what we accept, that's telling the universe, yep, this is okay. I'm all right with this. Every decision we make, that's what it's putting out there. So when you start to look within yourself and say, but wait, first of all, I'm not okay today. Why, Cam? Why aren't you okay? What do you need to feel more peace? What do you need to feel more vibrancy? Because what is life without peace and vibrancy? This is our one precious life, or one precious life. We cannot afford, it's too expensive.
That's right.
We can't afford to live it in hurt, in pain, in trauma. And we all have the choice. Sometimes we think that we don't have the choice. I thought that I didn't have the choice. But there's always a way out. There are always resources. Luckily for me, I have the most incredibly supportive, non-judgmental family who they were ready to take me back in with open arms, knowing that I had made one of the biggest mistakes. I don't even like to say mistakes. One of the biggest decisions of my life that did not serve who I am and where I was going. It did not serve my heart, my peace of mind. It did not serve my child. And that to me, that's too expensive. And it's that moment in life where you answer your own question and then you start to move energetically. All of your resolutions will start to come, your aha moments. You will know that there's a brighter future ahead and there's something worth fighting for. That's the peace, that's the sanity. And I think I give thanks again for motherhood because I don't know how different my decisions would have been.
Yeah.
I don't know if it would have come in the time that it came. I don't know if my wake up call would have happened when it was way too late.
Yes. Yes.
Because you hear so many stories, Yendi. So many.
Yes.
We see it every single day. The headlines, every single time I read one of those headlines, I shudder because I remember, I remember the pain. I remember the confusion. I remember the fear, the living fear. And you just have to know that there's better out there for you. You don't deserve to sit and wallow in that fear, that there really is so much more for you out there, and I afterwards I just chuckle, take my little time, build my little way back up, and looking back, it's been a journey, and it's been a journey. There's still things to this day that I'm working through, still to this day, because healing from trauma is a process. And I think sometimes, and I'm telling this to myself because sometimes I forget that, sometimes I'm hard on myself. I'm not gentle enough with myself. I'm not compassionate enough with myself. And we have to remember that sometimes we can be our hardest critics.
Yes.
And it's the thoughts, affirmations, Yendi is another big one. That was a big wake-up call for me. I started to speak into my life what I wanted to receive.
That's right.
Every day affirming the beautiful, wonderful, reality that wasn't yet a reality.
Can you share with me what some of the affirmations were that you wanted to receive, that you would speak in your life?
I'm strong. I'm resilient. I can overcome this. There's so much more out there that's destined for me. I'm beautiful. I'm brave. I deserve so much more than this. Sometimes those two words, I am, and anything else after that. And we have to affirm it. And so it is.
Anything after I am.
I am,
That's
and
right.
so it is, Yendi. So I think it was, and again, to your question, for anybody else struggling with this, like, where do I even start? Get to know yourself again. Who were you before all of this pain and trauma and this little dead end that you found yourself in? There's always a way, even if it takes 9-point turn, even it take you. You understand? It must come.
Yeah.
And you have to know that that dead end, that does not define your future. No. Look how much road about. Look how much twists and turns and highways and lowways and mountains and, oh my gosh, rivers. And there's just so much beauty out there for you to start to trot on. That dead end does not define the rest of your journey. And so it's just getting to relearn yourself, remembering who you are, remembering your power, remembering that there's so much more out there for you.
What's amazing to me is that in choosing you, you mentioned how we are rewarded for what we affirm. We are rewarded for the choices we make and the steps we take and the paths that we open up for ourselves when we come out of the dead ends. You're on a great path.
I'm on a great path, Yendi.
And you're not on your own on that path. Oh, is she blushing? Oh. Woo! No, it's okay. That's how she fell over too. And that's how she fell over when he said.
When I said yes, yeah.
I'm so happy for you, Kami.
Thank you so much.
You deserve happiness.
Thank you.
Was there any part of you in moving forward in this new journey that doubted or tried to say you don't deserve this? Did the past trauma try to rear its head to be like, but are you good enough to get this type of happiness and peace? What has that process been like for you?
You know what's funny? You speak in the past tense, and for me, presently, to this very day, it's still something that I'm working through, Yendi.
Yeah.
Still to this very day. And that's what trauma does,
Right.
Trauma continues to, my partner always speaks about, two sides of the fence. He's like, on one shoulder, there's the fear-based thoughts. There's the, I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy of this. This is going to fail. He's going to hurt me, all of that. And then there's the other shoulder, which is, he's so amazing. We're so amazing. What we're building is really incredible. We got each other's back. And it's that constant working towards this side. It's quieting the thoughts. And all of us have it.
Yes.
With every single thing.
Yes.
All of us have it. And, if we allow these thoughts to be the dominant thought that ends up overriding, and, thoughts become things, Yendi. So
Yes.
what we focus on is what we create.
That's what we attract, yeah.
And so I think that to this very day, it's something that we work on, but I think we work on it together. That's the beautiful thing. We're aware of it, and we work towards that balance and that peace and that happiness and the love over the fear every single day. You know what it's like to blend families. It's not easy, but it's so beautiful. It's so chaotic, and I wouldn't change anything about it. I really wouldn't change anything about it. It's a beautiful chapter in my life, Yendi. I feel like everything is coming together.
Yeah.
I feel like I know I'm walking in my purpose. I wake up every day and I'm living my dream.
You wake up and live?
I wake up and live.
You see what I did there?
You got me back.
I did.
I'm walking in my purpose every single day when the alarm clock goes off at 4:45, because I like to sit in silence before the rest of the day begins. And I think that was another big, humongous life change for me when I started meditating every day. And sitting with my thoughts and affirming my thoughts and sitting in gratitude before the busyness of the day begins. And, it's like, wow, I'm literally living my dream. I have spent my life committing to helping others realize their own power inside and helping them along their own journey to waking up and living. And it's a difficult thing. Lifestyle change is difficult. Habit change is difficult. We're creatures of habits. So, sometimes we end up operating in that same terrible, toxic cycle over and over and over and over. And just because we might be leaders, within a field, even we ourselves have to be reminded. Even we ourselves, if we're not careful, we get stuck in those toxic cycles.
That's right.
Right? And so, again, it boils back down to that awareness, back to that quietness and stillness, and knowing that the universe has your back, man. Like, God has your back. Like, there's always so much better. If you stub your toe, it's going to heal, and you're going to heal back stronger. And so I give thanks for this part in my journey, for this chapter in my life. It's a very exciting chapter. I feel like I'm, at such an incredible place as a mother, and, the relationship that I have with Kaylani, and, just the amazing bond that we share, and where I am personally, professionally, spiritually. And again, nothing is perfect. I have so many struggle days. There are days where it feels very noisy, and this side sometimes overrides this side. But I think when we commit to the process, when we remember the tools that we have, and those are the tools in what we eat, what we drink, how well are we sleeping, how well are we resting, how well are we managing our stress, are we living? What are we thinking? What are our thoughts? It's all of these tools that we have, the tool of movement, meditation, exercise, eating well, all of these things all pile into not what is this physical manifestation of what is within. It's all about what is within, and then everything else shines through. So it's been a beautiful journey, Yendi. You have been like a little angel that just pops in my life, and we have these aha moments. Some of our conversations that we've had over the years, really have been aha moments for me. Because I know that we share a lot of the same struggle, a lot of the things that we've been through, resonate with each other, and that's what matters in life. The relationships that we continue to investing in the most important relationship, you know,
It's with our Creator.
the most important relationship, and we have to continue to nurture it because he is our ever guide, our ever present, omnipresent, just ever faithful, ever there for us to pull us through. So that actually is what I would say, you know, to somebody struggling, that remember it's not your burden to carry on your own, you know. There is somebody else who is there for us to help us through whatever it is that we're going through, and he always has, you know, a better plan. So it's better we stick with him plan and about to try plan for ourselves. Done?
Because man
Yeah.
a plan and God
Alright.
I see
Alright.
that. Cami, thank you so much. I'm so proud of you.
Thank
I
you,
am
man.
so proud of you, and I'm so happy for you. I
Thank
can't
you.
believe I just lift you up. Yeah. She,
I walked in and Yendi literally lift me up
I was-
and spun me around.
I'm so happy
Thank
for
you.
you. You deserve
you.
everything that is good in this world.
Thank you so much.
Ah.
Love you, sis.
Love you. Thank you.